If you have a question on Zoom, please go ahead and hit that raised hand function button for us. We can get to your inquiry. At this time, we'll start in the front row over here. Jada, I saw your hand first.
Thanks. Thanks for the time, Brian. I have a two-parter. First, your players opened the match with the protest against Club World Cup. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, if you knew anything about that beforehand.
I did not know about it. I knew that the union and the players were having conversations. I did not know that negotiations had, either gone good or bad. I didn't know that because, I didn't pay quite close enough attention. This is a free country where guys can certainly do certain things. I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand Adrian's side of things. He's put a lot of effort, energy into this club, his life into this club. And so, I'm for, good conversations. Sometimes they're hard conversations, but I'm good conversations to find a positive or, some form of solution. But, the protest shirt was a surprise.
And then as far as the match goes, the first half you were able to fend off some of their pressure, but kind of what broke down in the second half?
Well, what broke down was, we showed them clearly who Minnesota is, who they are. They're a team that concedes possession, drops off, plays on counterattacks, and we fell right into their trap. The first goal, throw in, midfield, two guys got spun. They create one chance, they score, and credit to them. But it was on us, poor defending in that moment. Were we able to create enough in the first half? No, I don't think so. Not enough clear, obvious goal-scoring chances. Second goal on the PK, we've pushed Jackson Reagan higher up the field. We're trying to, get something, Christian's running with a guy. Jonathan Bell comes late. It's a penalty. It's a transition moment where we just need to do better. We need to have guys make play. And, the last one, look, I have told you guys in this room that Steph Fry is the best shot stopper in this league, bar none. But on that third goal, he needs to do better. He needs to push that ball wide. And he'll accept that. We'll talk about it because goalkeepers have a very tough job because if they make a mistake, it usually ends up poorly. When a defender or midfielder makes a mistake, usually there's some guys behind it, and Steph has saved our ass a bunch of times. So in that sense, our guys just didn't make the plays when they needed to.
All right, we'll go to Nico next.
Coach, just wanted to get your take on, you kind of mentioned Jackson Reagan getting a lot higher. Was that a designed strategy prior to this game to get him that high up?
No, it wasn't prior to the game. That's just the way the game unfolded because what we were trying to do was create overloads against 5-4-1. And since they have a bunch of guys in the middle of the field, you needed to create a 3 versus 2 or a 4 versus 3 in those little wide areas in those pockets. And because they only had one forward, and we build with 3, one center back pushes, you still have 2 against 1 to cover. So it's one of those things that, just manifested itself during the game.
And if you had to decipher maybe what went wrong, knowing that you were probably going to have to break down Minnesota, what would it be? Is it switching the point of attack? What was it that didn't work?
Just making plays. I don't think the guys made enough plays today. We were good in some moments. We had some possession. It looked dangerous or halfway dangerous. Georgia came on and did some really good things, but then there was that final piece that might have been missing. Ryan, the same thing in the second half, some good stuff, some other stuff. Paul in the first half got behind his guy, was able to get Russell in trouble, but it just wasn't enough today. It just wasn't.
All right, we'll come over to Jeremiah and then swing around to this side of the room.
If you were to articulate what you thought Minnesota did particularly well in terms of limiting you, what do you think that was?
Just become hard to beat. They stack three good big center backs, two wing backs, a line of four. There's just not a lot of space to play in. Sometimes you like to play through the middle. They were preventing that. We had to go side to side a little bit more, try and create those overloads. I think they did a good job, but that's true to who they are. I think for us, again, I think our guys were, again, it's hard to say, again, a lack of patience, but we needed to be more dramatic in some moments when we had the opportunity, and then a little more patience, like towards the end of the game where we were, still in the game at 2-1 and still in the game at 3-2, but we were kind of rushed in some of those moments.
All right, Maz, down to you.
Yeah, Brian, how would you rate the play of your 6 and your 8 in the middle there in terms of
Christian and Obed?
Yeah,
It was fine. I mean, Obed was more of a tactical switch for this game. Last game, I took him off because I didn't think he was playing up to his potential. But for this, I wanted to keep Albert on the field for set pieces and stuff like that. And we needed to get a second forward in there. I mean, it was pretty clear. And Osaze came on and did a good job.
Did Jackson Reagan going up push Christian back a little bit more than
No.
you would have liked?
No. I don't think so.
All right, we'll go over to George here on the back row next. As the mic makes his way over to him, reminder for those on Zoom, if you have a question, please hit the raised hand function button.
Can I make it in Portuguese?
You can if you like, yeah.
Yeah. Gostaria de saber o que é que sabe acerca do Botafogo e como é que está a preparar o jogo contra o Botafogo.
I'd like to know about the preparations and the plans to face Botafogo.
Well, similar to perhaps the protest shirt tonight, we're not focused on Botafogo. Tonight was an opportunity to surpass the team that was directly ahead of us. And against Vancouver, there's a chance to gain points against a Western Conference opponent. And that's what's most important.
Bom, similarmente com a pergunta sobre o protesto, hoje o foco ainda não é o Botafogo. A gente tem que pensar nas oportunidades. Hoje foi uma oportunidade de passar o time na frente e no jogo com o Vancouver teremos uma outra oportunidade de ganhar pontos contra um time da West Conference, da Conferência Oeste. E isso é o mais importante.
Okay, next round of questions. Yeah, we'll go back row here.
What do you think you saw from the set pieces tonight, and what do you think you want to see more going
Our
forward?
set pieces?
Your set pieces, yeah.
Well, usually I review it during film. My off-the-cuff comments might be, we didn't score off any of them. I think we had a bunch. We put a lot of work into our set pieces. I always say it's life or death inside the penalty box. Teams can get plays and schemes and, opportunities from trick plays, but basically it comes down to good service. And then guys, as soon as the ball leaves Albert's foot, it's following the flight of the ball and trying to get your head on it or your foot on it or something. It's not that, crazy, or it's not that hard. So I'm not sure if we were as effective as we needed to be, because set pieces obviously in our league are an important thing.
All right, we'll come back down to Maz and then swing back to this side of the room.
Brian, do you feel you're getting the defensive marking and physicality that you need from your back four, and in terms of, and then your two backs? Because it seems like the last 3 games, opponents are having shots, like unpressured shots. Is that fair? Question there?
I don't know. I'll look at the tape, Maz. You're a good guy and you see things, but I don't think so. I mean, look, we're playing Stuart Hawkins and Jonathan Bell. Kalani came on, and I thought, look, Kalani played well tonight. Stewie's got a promising future. Jonathan's been a good foot soldier. Nuhu's done his part for the club defensively. I think Christian and Obed are, rangy. They pick up a lot of loose pieces. So I'll look for it.
All right, Nico.
Two questions. Just wanted to get your take on what you felt about Stuart Hawkins when he came into the game, third game this season.
He was fine. I mean, he was good. I mean, look, Jackson was on a time restriction. But Stewie came on, did fine. I mean, he's getting better in the air. I like to see that. You talk about aerials and set pieces. He was decent. But work in progress, though.
And in terms of transition defense that maybe failed at times today, moving forward towards Vancouver as well, that tends to be a team that gets forward in transition. What needs to get better and what kind of went wrong today?
Again, I'll watch the tape for a final answer. Look, on the one, I think it was the third goal, when, Nuhu goes forward, Pedro loses the ball. We get 9 guys back. So I'm not so sure tonight was all about the transition defending. Yeah, the PK, okay, fine. But, I'm not so sure it was the complete lack of transition defending. I just don't think we made plays defensively. But then again, to be fair to the defenders who put the work in, we just didn't do enough on the attacking side of the ball.
Anything else on this side of the room? All right, we'll take one or two more. George?
Coach, you made some changes to the starting 11. I assume one of them was because of the baby from Jesus. Any news on that? And did you get the outcome that you wanted from the changes that you made?
Yeah, I think the guys that started the game were good. I thought Pedro was okay. I thought Kalani was, again, very good. Jonathan, Jackson coming back was a positive. Jesus, yes, he is with his wife, and she is giving birth or in the process of everything, and we're excited for a new member of the Sounder family.
All right, Diego, you got the last one here.
Buenas. Considerando que se ganaron los 2 partidos anteriores jugando en casa, ¿hubo quizás una subestimación con el Minnesota pensando que se le podía ganar con facilidad? Y este conflicto, este aparente conflicto que hay, ¿pudo haber influido en algo en el ánimo del equipo?
Considering that we won the last 2 games, the last 2 home games, do you believe that there was probably an over estimation about, that this should have been an easy win
No.
against Minnesota? And then
No.
do you believe that the conflict that happened earlier on the game today about the Club World Cup influenced the state of mind of the players for the game?
Well, we did not underestimate Minnesota. And the statement that the players tried to make today, they have to back it up. And so, tonight, I'm not so sure because I was looking specifically at the effort that they put into the game, which I think they did. But, they leave now the question open of, was their concentration fully there on their opponent?
No, en realidad no subestimamos de ninguna manera a Minnesota. Es un equipo que lo respetamos y no lo subestimamos en ningún momento. Ahora, la posición de los jugadores con respecto a lo de la Copa de Clubes es algo que es su palabra y algo que ellos ahora lo tienen que respaldar con acciones. Entonces, va a estar en ellos ver si es que realmente estaban completamente concentrados en el partido y si es algo que afectó a su performance.